Hey, it's Dave 2. Today I'm going to talk about brainwave technology. In that recent News Nation UAP whistleblower with Jacob Barber, the thing with like the egg UAP thing, they talked about a Psionics program that's still running, and they showed on a tablet device the My Monitor application, which is what I've been using in my other videos. So I wanted to share some details about just the brainwave stuff in general, what other options there are besides EEG, and what I know about it. I mean, like I already have like some videos on it, but I do presentations, if you can't tell. It's just how it works. Psionic is just kind of like the technological study of Psi. Even like the Rocket League game is made by a company called Psionics. But yeah, that's kind of like the hot buzzword right now due to that program. So brainwave states, this is a key to the AIM methodology. If you looked at that video, is understanding where you are in this level. Your brain is typically operating it's sending electrical frequencies at a particular hertz. So like the rate at which it's sending it at. Different parts of your brain are sending it at different levels. So it's not like your whole brain is operating on beta or alpha or theta, but all of them have some sort of amplitude to them. And that's why I call it like beta dominance or theta dominance, which means that your brain is primarily operating at that rate, but there's other parts of it, that are obviously firing at a different rate as well. So from low to high, low is 0.5 to 4 hertz, theta is 4 to 8, alpha is 8 to 14, beta is 14 to 30, and gamma is 30 to 100 hertz. For each of these, delta is typically means that you're asleep. That's what you experience when like you're sleeping at night, and that is deep subconscious access in this, what we believe is the intuitive process here. Theta is known as like the intuitive state. It's where most psychics kind of think that like that's where the data is getting derived from. So that's kind of like where you want to be. In alpha, you're getting visuals. This is typically seen as a bridge between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Beta is that waking awareness state, which is right now, if I had on my Muse, it'd probably say I'm in beta at the moment, like beta dominance. So the others are still there, but beta would be the peak amplitude. And the intuitive state is the one right below it. So alpha is a nice middle one in between that. And that's typically where you're going to start in a session before you go and drop down. Like I said, beta right now, this is probably beta. And above beta is that peak conscious state. So if you've ever been in a flow state at work, that's typically what's happening. Or if when I talked about getting into intuitive drive in the Psi stuff, that's typically where we think that there's these big downloads that are happening of data, and they typically come with like the spike of gamma in there. So for the Psi strategy, what we want to do when we do a session, doesn't matter if it's remote viewing or just general intuition, is you want to start in at least an alpha state, which is that bridge between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. From there, we need to shift our brainwave down a little bit into theta, which is deep intuition. I do talk about delta a lot because honestly, like delta is pretty awake for me, which I don't know if that's bad. If you ask ChatGPT, it says it's bad to be awake in delta. But in theta, you can access your subconscious mind really well. It's deep intuition and psychic, but you're not too far that you lose control. And that's really the concern about going all the way into delta, is that, like there's nothing going on upstairs. It's too slow. You can't simultaneously remember all your probes and do that. You're probably going to like fade off into a la la land in the middle of your session. And then from theta, you want to start having those brief gamma spikes during your session. And that's typically where I call them data packets. Other people call them downloads, which is basically where you get this big conceptual blob of stuff very quickly. That's going to occur in your session after you get a spike of gamma in there. Then after you're done with all your intuitive probes, you can kind of return back to alpha, and then like right now, or when you're talking to your program manager or tasker, whoever it is, you're going to be back in that beta state. If you watch Tyler Henry, the Hollywood psychic medium, for example, there's that thing where he wore an EEG on his head and he was going between beta talking and then went boom right into delta dominance. It was pretty incredible to watch. So in order to navigate these states, like you have to have a way to change between them, and you have to know what you're getting into. And there's two different ways that you can do it. I have gone the natural route, but when I was training, I went the technological route. So if you do it naturally, you can, in order to change which state is dominant, you can do it with meditation, just thinking techniques. I use a lot of breath work where depending on how much breath I hold in or don't hold in, and like the pace at which I do it for like heart coherence and stuff, that's going to change what dominance frequency I have going on in my brain. To get the feedback on that though, because it's really hard. Like if you don't have any feedback that says what you're in, you don't know what you're in, and you don't really know how they relate. There's just a bunch of feelings that you have that you can't like put a name to. So using an EEG, which I'm not even going to try and say, it's like an electroencephalograph or something. Using an EEG device that you strap onto your head to get that feedback allows you to put names and words and ranges like the delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma to your feelings. So it's like Bob Monroe says, remember the feeling. You can remember the feeling of these different states and move in between them. Some of the big commercial or technically like non-commercial, I don't know like what we are, Muse, Emotive, NeuroSky, OpenBCI, there's a bunch of them. I have 2 Muse devices because they're kind of cheap. They also they support my enormous head size. Emotive and the others, they offer more channels. The more channels you have, the higher in-depth information you get. But honestly, like with this stuff, you're not trying to be scientific with it. If you are, maybe you want to go with a higher end device. But really what I'm just looking for is general feedback. What is my brain generally operating under? What is that dominant state? And if you go with more channels, like 20 or something, like all over your head, you're going to get more feedback about that. But then you're really trying to get into like, okay, what region of my brain is activating and all that. That's definitely the next step. Fortunately, none of those devices fit my enormous head. So I'm just using these cheap Muse devices for now. Now, technologically, there is Pulsed Electromagnetic Fields, PEMF. And the one that everybody knows about is the God helmet and the research of Dr. Michael Persinger. If you haven't looked into his research, go check it out. It's phenomenal. And then there's cheaper devices out there like the Omni PMF Neorhythm device that I have here. And what this is going to do is it's going to send out these little electromagnetic impulses to your head, and it's going to lock in your brain state to a particular spot. Now, if we go back a slide, I was saying that during an intuitive session, I want to jump up, down between these states and get gamma spikes. You may be able to do that with a PEMF device, but it's kind of forced. And the other thing is like I was getting massive headaches from using a PEMF device. There's something about it that just doesn't feel natural and good. The other big thing I have is like the pen is not the thing that's psychic. The microphone is not psychic. The point of the AIM stuff is that you are psychic. So how can you personally manage your internal state naturally in order to be psychic on your own? That's what I think is important. Now, there are things like magnetic shielding and Faraday cages and stuff that you could get into. And technically that's just shielding from your external environment, but it's not in this forced situation like it is with PEMF. So those are the 2 options really that I see in terms of brainwave technology that you can use. PEMF is going to help you be psychic. EEG is just going to give you the feedback so that you know, am I in the state that I want to be in? Am I not? And then you can also like play around with breath work and meditation while you're watching a monitor and see where you're going. That's the route that I would go. That's the route that I did go. And yeah. So let me jump over to, let me show these devices real quick. Neorhythm right now, it's only $300 if you want to go pick one up just to play around with anyway. And then the Muse S device that I really like is $320 right now, typically $400. And there's a cheaper option, which is the Muse 2. If you're going to spend this amount of money, just go get the Muse S. You won't regret it. So I have up on here, hopefully live demo. This didn't work last time I tried it. Let's try and turn this on real quick. Give us a moment. We're setting up your device. So I'm connecting my Neorhythm. Oh, and I moved it to this. This is the Neorhythm app, which is going to allow me to choose exactly what brain states I want to get into. So I can choose a power. I'm like max power 2.5. Coils, you can choose like what region of it you want to target. I'm gonna say all, and then a frequency. So this is where if I want to lock into delta, I can do 1 to 4. I can do 5, 6, 7. I can even do the Schumann resonance 7.83 hertz, which is what I got into. And then choose some time. And now once I do that, I'm gonna take this off. It's gonna feel pretty wild as it's gonna like lock your brain into it. You can wear it this way, you can wear it this way, you can wear it on the back of your head, you can play around with it, try and like figure it out. They even talk about like putting it around your neck. But this is ultimately what you're gonna do, and you're gonna feel it in session, and it's gonna just lock you in. Now, you can't wear an EEG with it, so there really isn't a way to know if it's actually locking your brain state in accordingly. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like the theory, in my opinion. Maybe there's like a whole study from OmniPerf on it, but I don't know anything about that. So since I'm not a fan of this, I'm going to turn it off. There are plenty of people that are fans of it, by the way. A lot of people on the RV Discord prefer doing this device. I don't know how to jump up between alpha, theta, gamma, and stuff, but I'm sure there's a way to induce it. All of Michael Persinger's research on it with the God helmet is incredible and groundbreaking. So like, clearly there is something to this. I'm just saying, like, in my personal preference, you know, I want to do this stuff naturally. So these devices, you have these detector things here on it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to turn this on right now. I actually just charged the headset. Oh, there we go. So now it's on. And I do have other videos on this on my channel already where I am doing it. I think I did it in December news. I had this on my head. Let's see if it pops up. And the other one that's cheaper, the reason why I like this one is that it's going to stay on a lot better. All right, the headset's charged. Deja vu right now. This is my monitor with the Muse S device. You can see it gives you that feedback on those 5 categories of brainwaves: delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. And it's giving an amplitude in terms of decibels. So that is the quantity at which your brain is experiencing this. Now, I mean, it's just on the front of my head at the moment, so it's not like a full brain scan, but it is telling me some relative feedback about what I'm getting here. Now, you can use this to understand, am I getting into that theta state? Am I in alpha? If I see beta, like such as right now because I'm talking, right? That's probably like a more analytical state. And instead of forcing your brain into that particular zone, you can try out breathwork techniques, you can try out meditation, and then use this as a biofeedback device so that you can become internal state movability stuff. Like, you're in control of your own psychic awareness rather than trying to use external technology to force it. Same thing with binaural beats. Binaural beats is like PEMF. It's going to try and lock you in. And what's cool is I should do a video on that where you can prove that and see how I just went like this and it disconnected. These things are very finicky. Binaural beats is going to try and lock you in. And I'm totally going to go do a video on that where, you know, like, I'll wear my Muse while I listen to some binaural beats that are supposed to do something in particular. So back to the video. Well, I have other videos where it works. So go check out the other videos. I also have a whole video on how to set up this monitor thing here and record your own video with OBS Studio. So hopefully this helped shed some light on what you can do with these devices. I really think it's great because it allows you to understand like where you are mentally in a particular state. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you need any help, and feel free to ask questions. Thanks.